Welcome to Becoming Spiritual, a podcast about the magic that surrounds us and has always been a part of us. I'm your host, Heather Dolan, a passionate seeker dedicated to bringing together beautiful humans who are doing amazing things in this world. Together, we will explore healing modalities and practical spiritual practices that can enrich your everyday life. We will also hear stories of awakenings, many from people in the corporate world who have broken out of the spiritual closet. Wherever you are in your journey, know you have found a community of open-hearted individuals committed to making themselves and our world a better place. Welcome home. Welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Crystal Roberts on Becoming Spiritual. If you didn't listen to Crystal's story in our episode that dropped last week, maybe take a moment to just go listen to that, learn more about Crystal and her gifts and how she shares, and then come back and listen to this channeling. But certainly this is a standalone episode too, so you can just listen to all the wisdom she shares with us. In this episode, we're going to move fully into Crystal's intuitive and channeled work as she shares a message for the collective and the energetic themes unfolding as we move into 2026. I ask questions on your behalf about the energy that's coming in this year, how to care for ourselves in practical ways, and how to stay grounded and connected as things continue to shift around us. Crystal speaks about the importance of discernment, listening to the body, and returning to simple, supportive practices, from our relationship with water and the natural world to the wisdom of the bees, community, and feminine energy. What I love about Crystal's channeling is that it feels like you're asking your most trusted, closest friend for advice that you know doesn't come with any type of agenda other than to help you care for yourself and others in the most loving way possible. I hope this conversation offers you reassurance, clarity, and a sense of support as we step into what's ahead. And as promised in last week's episode, I have a special announcement. Crystal and I are going to be hosting our first retreat together, and this is my first retreat, on May 1st, which is Beltane for those who don't know. And it's also a full moon, so really potent energies will be coming in, I'm sure. And we are going to be sharing more soon. So if you're interested in learning more about our retreat and how you can join us, find out information on location, cost, etc., and see if it resonates, please go to becomingspiritual.me and you can find more information there. And you can also add your information through a form, and we will contact you with all of the information as we have it. So please check that out. We're very excited. We know it's going to be a beautiful gathering of souls and can't wait to bring it to all of you. So if you're called, go to the website now, check it out. Otherwise, let's hear what Crystal channels for all of us in these important messages moving into the new year. Thanks so much for listening. So who is it that you channel, or you don't know sometimes who's going to come through? So do you have your set team that comes through, or what happens?
The only thing I do that is set every single time is that I ask my personal guides and my spirit team to come through to protect me. But beyond that, I never know who's going to come through to actually speak to me. And I think it depends on the questions you have and their area of knowledge and expertise, who they sort of shove forward. And sometimes it's very clearly a person or a spirit, and sometimes it's a group. So I never know. It's always very interesting.
Okay. Is it okay to ask? Is there anything that you want to make sure Crystal knows? Like to see if there's a...
Yes.
Or do you just get enough of your own messages that you don't want me to ask that?
Oh, Heather, honestly, I have to say that's probably one of the most beautiful gifts you just gave, because I think most people are like, just give me what I want. And, the channeler doesn't think of... Yeah. So no, I don't get a ton of messages, and I always welcome that opportunity.
Okay, good.
Okay. I will probably have my eyes closed for you through the whole time, again, because I'm visual and I need to see in my mind what they're coming through with. So you just tell me when you're ready to go, and I just need a few seconds to put myself in that space.
Yes, I think I'm ready.
All right, just I'll tell you what I'm doing as I go along, and this will be good too, because when I do remote sessions with people, so if they book an energy balancing session online, because I did something in person with you, that I actually put hands on when I do my healing work. But when I connect just with people virtually, I tell them where I'm working through on the body and what I'm doing. So I'm going to just tell you what I'm doing now. So I'm closing my eyes, and I'm asking for my entire spirit team to come forth and surround me with light and love. My guides, I'm asking to be grounded deeply with Mother Earth and placed in a protective pyramid of healing white light. And I'm demanding that only light, love, and living be in this space with us. Everything else must go. And that energy and information of the highest intent come forth for Heather and I in this beautiful podcast she's doing. And all of the listeners are given messages that are most needed and most applicable in the here and the now. So we're going to ask Crystal, me, to get out of the way now so these messages can come through. I just need about 5 seconds to do that. And we're ready.
Thank you for being here in this space. I'm very grateful and honored. So, first, I would love to know, as this spiritual community and the podcast evolves, what is something that we can look forward to as a community and the information that comes through this podcast?
So what we're having Crystal feel right now is almost on this right-hand side of her body, this feeling of being put into almost a cloud in the sky, and it's wrapping around and hugging her, and she's nestling in and just feeling so safe. And it is because of your voice, Heather. You are absolutely meant to do this podcast work. You have a voice that puts people almost into a state of being more receptive to this work. It is the tone of your voice. And we've talked through Crystal many times about vibration and how important vibration is in the tone of people's voices. And that alone is part of the work that she does in sound therapy and healing through sound and vibration. And your voice and everyone's voice carries a certain tone to it, a certain vibration. And your tone and vibration is 100% meant for the work that you're doing in this realm. Personally, for you, we see this podcast growing and becoming quite substantial in the world. You're going to see a lot more followers. And we know we just talked about how that is not the importance of the work that you do. It's who you touch, even if they don't say I like or they subscribe. But you are going to see this just take off, and you're going to have more of a platform and more viewership come to you, because the energy that you're putting out, again, is being welcomed and arms are being wrapped around you in this work in 2026. And we agree with the messages that you have talked about to this point with Crystal, just that this is the work that is coming forth in greater mass and greater quantities in 2026. There's more of an opening and a shift. Now, we want to be very careful to also say that as the light and this opening into the spiritual realm comes forth, that there is naturally the opposite effect that happens, that there are going to be forces at play that try to dull that energy and to dull the awakening of the masses. But as more and more individuals like you come forward and you put this work out into the world, that energy can't be dulled. It cannot be lessened. If someone hears your messages, it's going to be something that's embedded in their soul. And they may not use it in the moment. They may not use it today or tomorrow. But when they need to, and when that message needs to awaken inside of them, whatever it was that you brought forth, it will. And that is an important message to know, that even though the state of the affairs of the world can seem heavy, they can seem dark, that this lightness, once awakened in you and that resides in all of you anyways, is there and opened. That is something internal that can never be dulled.
Oh, thank you. So beautiful. And so what would you say, because I feel like you just kind of touched on this a little bit, of this energy of 2026, because of course there's always a balance of light and dark. And without the dark, we can't see the light. We can't see that light come in and shine bright. So what is, from a energetic perspective, or from a just something that people should know about in 2026, what does this year look like for the collective?
So there is going to be a push for more of a sense of community. And this goes back to a conversation actually that Crystal had over the holidays with her family, is how the world has placed people in a sense of, not a sense, truly in isolation. We are, kids aren't playing in the street. They're not playing hockey on the road. People aren't playing hide and seek with their children outside. We're not getting together to celebrate meals beyond what they often are at the holiday times. That this sense of community has really been lost, and it's placed people in a state of feeling very isolated, or they are isolated. social media tends to be where people focus their energy on, even in a room full of people. Oftentimes you are all on your phones. We see that starting to lessen as the awakening starts to occur. We see there being an understanding. Again, it's something vibrationally that lights up within inside you, that when you're connected and with other people, now again, the right people that resonate with you, that energetically feed you in a way that makes you feel good, is what your bodies need, what your souls need. You're not meant to navigate struggles alone. You're not meant to navigate even the moments of happiness and joy in isolation. It's meant to be shared. And that in 2026 is something we see becoming a point of emergence. And it's going to come through some things that are going to be challenging. So there will continue to be droughts, there will be floods, there will be hurricanes. Now, those things are tragic. They result in a loss of life. They result in a complete change of geographic areas. What they also do, though, is bring people together in ways that they wouldn't have otherwise, and in a way that they need to lean on one another and maybe ask for support in ways that they never would have before. And as you do that, as you reach out to one another and support one another that way, it reminds you on a soul level of how important that connection to one another is. It's really interesting from our perspective to watch you in human form, because it's like you forget about that collective and how important it is to have that connection with one another. And sometimes we need on the other side to shove you into it and remind you to lean on one another. That, what is the saying you use about many hands make light work? And it is that. So many of you are trying to do everything alone. But when you bring a community together where you all have different gifts that allow the community to be strengthened, instead of trying to be the master of everything in your own home, your load feels lighter and you feel connection that really is missing in your world right now. And we see that emerging more in 2026.
Oh, I love that. Gives me so much hope. I feel like that message was for me too, of in my own home. Based on what Crystal and I just spoke about with all of I had like octopus arms during the holidays, and I still didn't have enough hands to do everything. So yeah.
So this is me, Crystal, and I'm like screaming. I'm like, Heather, yes, it is to you too. I love that.
So in terms of healing, because we're all on these journeys and so much healing, what is some practical advice? Because I know I've gotten a lot through Crystal in the channeled sessions she's done before at the workshops, but what is some really basic practical advice that you like to share for humanity, like drinking clean water and things that don't have to cost a lot of money? You don't have to have a lot of different things, but things that you can do that are so practical, but will really help your physical body, your spiritual, emotional, all the things.
So we love this question, and we are going to preface it by saying that this question comes through often and the message is the same, but it goes back to a conversation that you and Crystal had earlier, is that some people want the message to change. I think that there's new information, but oftentimes the messages we give, we will repeat over and over because they really are the most impactful, helpful things you can do. So we want to draw attention to the water that you just mentioned. That is an incredibly easy thing to alter. So if you set an intention to your water, if you just think a thought, happy, joyful, or when I drink this, I'm being nourished, I'm being hydrated. Setting an intention is incredibly powerful because your water structure changes very easily and it carries the messages that you put into it. So if you just say love, it's going to now carry love and it's going to fill your body with love as you drink that. You can also change the structure of your water by placing crystals around your water. So take a crystal that you love, set it near the water, leave it for about 20 minutes, come back and drink it, and the power of that crystal will help change the molecular structure of that water. You're even going to be able to taste the difference. If you had a cup that you didn't put a crystal by and you take the cup with the crystal, you will actually be able to taste the clean, molecular changed water structure of the crystal therapy water. You can also put crystals in water, but we want to be very careful when we say that because most crystals are water soluble and not healthy. There are some crystals that are fine in water, such as rose quartz and amethyst, but beyond those, you want to be fairly careful in just having them sit around the water glass. We recommend glass instead of plastic. There's nothing really good about the plastics that you use. They say BPA free, then they come out with another term, but plastics within your society, there's really nothing good about them. So if you can use glass, that truly is best. And then another incredibly powerful thing that we keep bringing forth is getting out and being in the sun. Now, your body does interpret the sun through your eyes. That's a way you most are able to absorb vitamin D. You're all incredibly deficient in vitamin D. Again, if we look back to the history of humankind, there was a time when you were outdoors almost all the time. And even when we look at the generations that you would have been raised in, Heather, and that Crystal was raised in, kids spent a lot more time outdoors. But now kids, adults, everyone they're more homebodies, they're attached to their devices, even their work is more often indoors. And you need to get outside and allow that vitamin D to come through your eyes and nourish your body. And what we can offer you is that you're going to find that you're going to be more satiated, you're going to have less cravings, your mood is going to improve just by spending 20 minutes a day in the sun. Now, we do say that should be unprotected. You shouldn't have sunscreen on. There are a lot of toxins within your sunscreens. If you have fair skin, there's a way to do this. You don't have to do the 20 minutes all at once. Go out for 5 minutes and then take a break from the sun. Build your body up to feel stronger and more capable of interpreting the rays from the sun and the benefits that come with them. And just be in tune, I guess, with your body. Spend time outside in the sun and also spend time putting your feet in nature. So taking off your shoes, the rubber often on the bottom of your shoes blocks the energy of the earth. The earth is such a powerful ally. There's a lot of beautiful energy there. Mother Earth wants to connect with you, but you don't often see her. You block her with some of the things that you're wearing. So take off your shoes when you can and put your feet into the earth. Stand on some grass. If you're in a colder climate, right now, Crystal's coming to you from Calgary, Alberta. There's tons of snow outside. It's not incredibly practical to ask her to go out and put her feet in the snow for a long period of time. But what you can do is if you have an area of your house that has a concrete basement or a cellar that has a concrete pad, go in there, take your shoes off and stand on the concrete. Concrete does not block the flow of Mother Earth's energy, so you can still have that transference even in that space. But if we were to give you 3 things right now that were the most important, it is to bless and change the structure of your water so that it is clean and that you're intaking the most purified water sources that you can. Drink more water. Many of you are incredibly dehydrated, so ensuring that you're staying on top of your hydration. Getting outdoors, allowing that vitamin D to come through your eyes and grounding yourself and connecting more with Mother Earth. If you can do those 3 things on a daily basis, you're going to see massive transformations in your life.
Thank you. And just on that, for clarification, because you mentioned the sunscreen, contacts, like someone like myself, I wear contacts. And I know that something that came through in my session with Sarah was going outside and getting that direct sunlight in my eyes without my contacts, because that is blocking the rays from actually getting through, right? And if you're going to gaze at the sun and bring in that sunlight, you also have to be careful, right? And do that at like sunrise or sunset, so it's not too potent. Is that right?
Definitely take the contacts off. We don't say that there has to be a time that you can be out looking at the sun, but your eyes do need to adjust. So if you're going out in midday where the sun is incredibly strong, don't look right at it. Look just below it. If your eyes start to water or tear, you're working up. It's like building a muscle and you're building strength to be able to look more directly at the sun, but you're not going to be able to do that right away. So instead of looking right at it, look just below it and allow your eyes to strengthen. Many of you, it's like a muscle that has atrophied or become weak because you're not outdoors looking up into that sun. It has to readjust and you have to rebuild that muscle again. And then as that happens, you'll be able to go out any time of the day and look up as you want or as you need, but you do need to build that up. And so as you said, dawn and dusk are great times to start, but if you want to go at midday, just don't look right at it. Look just below it.
So have we been as a collective, and I know this could go down a rabbit hole, but I don't want to do that. But so the fear of like burning your retinas and needing sunglasses and needing sunscreen, is that all just building fear so that, we've been told our ozone layer is gone. So as soon as we go outside, we're going to burn and we're going to get these terrible rays and they're awful for us. Is that just a lot of fear mongering and also, to be honest, selling us stuff?
It's twofold. So it is fear. It elicits that sense of fear and giving your power to someone else who knows better. So you're hearing from someone else, oh, I need to protect my eyes, when intuitively you go out and you sit in the sun and you feel like a cat who lays in it. You feel great. The sun feels good on your body. You have to do it safely. Again, there are individuals who are incredibly fair and don't. They have to build up time in the sun, but you can do that. It's just being smart about it. So a lot of people want to go into an ocean and be in the ocean for 8 hours a day. You can't do that right away if you haven't been out in the sun for some time. So there is the fear. We ourselves are going down the rabbit hole as we're giving you this message. But essentially, there is that fear in releasing or giving up your power to someone else who knows better. And then there's also the individuals who know that by giving you chemical sunscreens or blocking the vitamin D, it's going to make you sicker. And there's going to be a reliance on a product that they have then to counteract that. So when you're not getting vitamin D, you're going to be searching for antidepressants. You're going to be looking for vitamin D in pill form. You're going to develop all sorts of illness. Even, viruses and bacteria within your body are going to thrive. And you're going to be looking for ways to fight that off. And so it really goes back to the system that your world has really been experiencing since the dawn of time, which is people in power. They want control over the population. It's a easy thing to do to make people sick and then have a reliance on them and the products that they sell to try to make you feel better. And a way to do that is to essentially sell you something that you don't need, such as sunglasses and sunscreen, and tell you to not engage with something that you actually do. So it's listening to your intuition. This is our message that comes through. We appreciate what you and Crystal said earlier. People have to find what resonates with them. We know this to be true, but people will find this message as it resonates with them. But that really is the way that this comes to be.
Thank you for clarifying that. And on that note, I'm curious if you could talk just for a second about the bees, because I love bees. They just resonate so deeply with my heart. I love them, and I am vegan, and honey is something that I consume because from what I've understood is that it's actually their gift to us. They came here to give us this gift, and there's so much healing and light energy that's in honey, but I know a lot of people don't agree with that. So I'm curious if you could just share a little bit about the bees and honey.
We love speaking about the bees. The bees are just so happy. And you're right, the product that they make, the honey, it carries more than just what you're seeing and tasting, the sweetness. It literally carries the power of the universe. It carries all of the magic of the sun. It carries all of the magic of the moon. It connects to all of these beautiful pieces of Mother Earth, the way that they pollinate and bring the pollen from the flowers. It brings color therapy from the flowers that they take. It is one of the most amazing things that humans can eat. Now, the downside to it is that, like anything in the world, that there are very good beekeepers and there are beekeepers that are coming at it from the idea of, I just want to make money. They're not taking care of the bees in the way that they should. And that honey holds a different resonance. You're still going to get some beautiful properties from it. But the bees that are loved on, the way that we can see that you and Crystal do, like she's just smiling inside thinking of the bees, they are really meant to be adored, just like all animals on your planet are. There needs to be more of a respect for those other life forms that aren't just in the human form. And bees bring so much to you, and it is a gift. It is them saying, we are here to help you. But again, as humans, we take things and we think that things should be put on a mass production, and we don't treat the bees just like we don't treat many animals here on Earth. You don't. We treat animals where we are very, very well, but you humans don't always. There are, again, very reputable farmers, those that work in agriculture that do treat animals the way that they should be. But it's important to just find a beekeeper that you can feel that energy alignment with. And you're right. It is such a powerful food source. It is something that as the world has scarcity to be found through those food chains, you can always rely upon. If you were able to get out and do the grounding with Mother Earth that we spoke of, get the sunshine in your eyes, stay hydrated and have honey, you honestly would have all of your nutritional needs met for a very long time. You could sustain yourself on those things. So it is, again, just leaning into the suppliers who do the work in a way that is reputable and giving thanks and paying homage to the bees and the beautiful work that they do and the gift that they are giving and sharing with you.
Thank you. Yeah. Local for sure. Everyone can find local beekeepers and see if they'll invite you in to their apiary and show you how they're caring for the bees. That resonates so much with me. I'm blessed to have someone who's across the street. So I'm very lucky. So on the grounding piece in the shoes, you talked about the shoes. So for someone like me, again, who's vegan, I struggle so much with buying leather shoes now because I don't want an animal to be harmed for me to have footwear. But at the same time, I know all the vegan shoes are basically plastic man-made materials because they're not animal-based. So it presents a problem. And obviously I can't go barefoot into a work meeting, especially working in, cities and traveling and those kinds of things. So I'm just curious, like, I have struggled with this so much. How can we, for anyone who's crazy like me, how can we make peace with if we have to buy a pair of leather shoes or something? Like, what can we do? Because it's a struggle for me. And it sounds like a silly question, but it's been on my heart for years and I've never had an opportunity to ask it.
It's not silly. And there's a reason that you and Crystal and your energies resonate so well together, because many of the things you're speaking of, the way you approach your diet and the way that you interact with products in the world is so similar. And she's had similar concerns herself. And we would just say that, again, it's looking into, first of all, how much do you need? There's so many people in the world who feel like they need to have 500 shoes. And we're making Crystal laugh because there was a time when she was that person, a pair of shoes for every outfit. And she's evolved and changed over the years to have a better understanding of the cost of what that means when you tap into the materialistic world that way, and has scaled back. But it's finding the reputable people, the way that they treat animals, how many shoes do you need, and just recognizing that that's okay. If you go out into the world with a rubber sole, there's sometimes that is the best approach, and that is the most gentle way to get a product and get your hands on something that aligns with your values. But just allowing yourself after that work meeting where you can't go in barefoot, to take a walk on your lunch break in a park and allow your feet to be in the ground, to come home after work and go in your backyard and take those shoes off and sit there. Mother Earth is exponentially powerful. You don't need to have your feet grounded with her for the entire day to feel her work and her energy. You can be with her for 5 to 10 minutes and get all you need for the day. So just allowing yourself that time to spend outdoors and connect with her. And then the rest of your day, go about as you need to integrate with the world as it's set up.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, I want to ask if you have any words of wisdom or advice, anything that Crystal needs to know to help her on this journey as we look to enter 2026.
Well, first, we want to thank you, as she did too, because not every individual that she works with asks those questions. And we do have messages that we love to share with her, and they often have applicability for more than just her, as you two touched on earlier in your session as well. And so I think what we want to say is just, be gentle with yourself and allow yourself the time you need to heal. But remember that there is a moment where you do need to stop looking back at the past and looking more forward into your future. And for all of you humans that go through difficult and challenging times, sometimes you tend to stay in that space because there's so much trauma associated with it that you let your mind keep going back to those difficult moments. But what you also have to recognize is that the longer you stay there, you're preventing your forward growth, the momentum. You're delaying the future that we have waiting for you here. So try to, even in small ways, rewire your brain. So if you see those, darker thoughts coming up or putting yourself back into a past state where there was a sad event that occurred, acknowledge it. Thank it for the lesson that it taught you. Let it be recognized, but also know that that's no longer your state, that there's a whole future state waiting for you. And in this present state, just again, saying thank you. But instead of looking back, turning your head straight on or to the left and looking forward. that there's so much love and light and abundance that awaits for all of you. And it really is important to try to rewire your brain to look for those glimmers of hope and light and love, and lift your head up from the sadness and look around at all of those that love you and are grateful for what you're doing. And when we look at the work and the session that you and Crystal are experiencing today, it's just another example of the connections that can be made when you allow yourself to open up to the possibilities that we present to you. There was no way that we weren't going to bring you and Crystal together and have you meet and have you connect. This is a partnership that was meant to be. And we have these types of messages and interactions that we are presenting to each and every one of you on Earth. But when your heads are down or they're looking in the past, you're not able to make those connections. So we just want to recognizing it's a human experience that we're not in and that it's sometimes hard to do. But just again, recognize, thank the past, but allow yourself to move forward and to immerse yourself in these beautiful experiences that are waiting for you.
Thank you. And my last question is something really specific about a session I had with Kathleen. She does this in addition to being a yogi, this multidimensional healing. And something that was shown to her and to me was a connection with the seven sisters of the Pleiades and my DNA with them. And so I'm just curious. This is pretty vulnerable for me to share this in an episode, because some people are going to think it's crazy, but that's okay. I'm curious, what was that? What happened?
So we're actually heating Crystal up right now. And what we often do that when you're hitting on something that is really important, a message that's important to get out. And there is, again, so much that goes into that one question that you just asked that we want to share with you. First of all, the number 7 in numerology is incredibly powerful and important. When you pair that with the concept of sisterhood, that is, again, the concept that we want to really hone in on in supporting the feminine energy, which has been suppressed in your culture for so long. Now, you were very connected to this energy in a past lifetime, and you have ancestors that are still within the star system looking down and guiding you in this lifetime. So you are one of 7 sisters, and you are here to bring forth that feminine energy and show that feminine individuals can support one another without what has been historically viewed as a battle. Like we would see, women in your culture, having their cat fights or trying to one up one another instead of supporting and loving and helping one another evolve. And that there's a lot of facets. I don't think we have time to get into it today, why the feminine was so oppressed, but it has been. And you are part of this evolvement in this feminine energy and shining a light on the work that the feminine does, allowing, again, that vibration and tone of your feminine voice to come forward in this world and spread your light and your love. And so you're having a remembrance of a past life and a connection there. And that connection, they're literally up in the stars right now celebrating that you asked these questions, because this is exactly what they wanted to have come through, was this message about taking that connection to the stars, to the 7 sisters, and having that energy come forth in this lifetime. So essentially, it's a nod to continue along the path that you're on, to continue to support individuals that have that feminine energy, that the feminine energy needs to rise. This planet of yours has been so dominated by the masculine energy. One is not better than the other, but it is supposed to be balanced, and the feminine has been so much lowered, and you are part of the voices, the vibration that is bringing that feminine up. It is about supporting women, not competing with women. It is about saying, I see you and your gift may be different than mine, but how can we support one another? And that is what you're doing. You are bringing people on your show that all have something different to offer. And you're saying, let's hear about it, because each of these gifts are unique and special and important in the world. And it was just a remembering of where you come from and how that past experience is leading you in this lifetime.
Oh, wow. Well, that's making me very emotional. Thank you for sharing that. And so with the DNA piece, was there something that shifted from a physical DNA perspective during that session?
There absolutely was.
Okay.
So you have this almost crystalline starlight energy within you. and it runs through your blood always. But when you acknowledge something that is there, your body lights up. It's like someone who has a crystal in their hand, but just holds it and doesn't do anything, as opposed to someone saying, I see you, I'm going to put this intention into you. And the crystal now has become something that's working with your energy. So although this always resided in you, it sort of was lying dormant. And now that there was this recognition that it exists, it has lit your body up with the starlight energy. And it is now just coming out of your pores, out of your system. It is placing itself in the world. And you are spreading this energy in a way that you don't even realize, and you don't need to. You don't even need to know that it's happening, but it is happening now just from being recognized as being present.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. I'm so grateful for that information, and thank you for your willingness to share with all of us in this space, in this moment, some really practical advice and tools that we can take with us into 2026. I'm just incredibly grateful. So thank you. And thank you, Crystal.
Thank you. We are honored to be here, and we are always happy to connect. So thank you also for giving us a voice and the opportunity to do so.
Of course. My pleasure.
Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just thanking them and allowing them to go back to wherever they come from or were from, and calling back in my full essence and thanking my guides and your guides, Heather, for allowing us to be protected in a safe space and allow those messages to come through, and just asking that my full consciousness and my spirit comes back fully now, and I integrate back fully into my body and my energetic space. So okay.
We need Crystal back in all of her full glory.
Oh my goodness. I just feel always a little bit dizzy after. There's so much energy that comes through, but I'm really, those were beautiful questions and beautiful messages, all of which I won't remember, but I will when I listen to your podcast. So thank you for asking.
When you get to hear this beauty. I got so emotional. My nose is running. I'm like, I feel like I could cry. It was just so beautiful getting that information, especially with the bees, and even just that struggle of, it seems really silly, of trying to honor like the sentient beings that are all around us all the time, and how it can be a struggle being in this existence and honoring them and not feeling crazy. And I'm sure there's lots of people out there who have felt the same, of just, I don't really want to buy this thing, but I feel like I don't have other choices. Or, my family has this tradition of hunting, so I feel like I have to participate, but I don't really believe in it. And it's just, I feel like we all have a responsibility to not only humans, but to all the sentient beings that are around us, to honor them. And if you are going to consume them, it's okay, but give thanks and try and find those who, just like with the bees, that are doing ethical practices, local people who are raising these animals in humane conditions. And nothing will shift for any of us for where we are in this moment. If the one of the most powerful ways we can shift and make a change and use our voice is where we spend our money. And
100%.
Where we put our energy is incredibly important. But the next thing is money right now is a big energetic exchange. And so how you're spending your money and making sure that you're making good choices with that money that chances are you worked, hard to earn. And so, I just feel really called to share that, because I think people who know me have heard this from me, and they're always amazed of like, how can you be vegan and how can you be gluten-free and all these things? And sometimes it's not easy, but at the same time, a lot of the stuff that we shouldn't really be consuming, that I know isn't good for my body and my health, don't have those things in them. All the processed foods and sugar and all of those things. And so while people see it as this huge sacrifice, it's actually trying to return to a place that we have all been and known, and be in this place of health and joy. And when you're consuming things that have suffered, it will affect your energy. It's going to affect your energetic body if you are consuming something that has suffered and you're now taking it in. And so I think it's just really important. It's not coming from a place of judgment. It is more, if you are going to do these things, to be very aware and cognizant, because usually once people bring that awareness, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, how can I move through life doing these types of things? So I think all of us need to be very intentional with what we're consuming, whether that's buying things, eating things, our water, the sun, all of those things. I think that was like such a confirmation for me, and the information that just came through with, the sun, of like what we've been told of like, don't go in the sun. It's bad. It's dangerous. Stay inside. Wear 100 sunblock and all those things. And some of those things might actually be doing a lot more harm than the alleged good. So I think
I agree. And I think one of the things that I love that they said to you was they used past me about just the consumption and the amount of it. It's like sometimes you're going to need these things that maybe don't 100% align with your value, but it's like, do you need 10 of those things, or can one get you through? And I think that's so powerful. And I do think that about, individuals that do consume animals. I don't. But again, that's not judgment, but it's like, do you need that amount of animal protein at every single meal, or can you have a little bit? And sometimes it's just leaning into those small changes. And again, because we aren't the only sentient beings on the planet. And so the mass consumption of animals, is that necessary? In my opinion, no. But if you do want to eat it, I think, again, it's about sourcing. I know great people that work in that field who do treat animals incredibly humanely, and maybe it's sourcing from them and not in as large consumption as you have, but it sure resonates with you in a certain way. And I've never been a big meat eater before I even understood why. I just knew that I didn't like it. And again, that was me just listening to my body. And I don't know your story or why you got into it, but we all sort of lean a different way. And I think if people don't just go with like how they were raised or what, they're being told to eat. And again, listen to that intuition. The guidance it's there.
Yeah, especially just definitely don't want to go on a crazy tangent, but if I think back to when I learned that we were sold, I'm going to say sold, that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And that was literally a marketing campaign for cereal from like the 50s or 60s, and like when you dig deep into how this advice was curated and then given to us, it was to market to us, which when you think about that, it should upset you. It should make you feel like, oh my gosh, this wasn't actual truth. It's not medical information. It was someone trying to sell a product to us. And so
absolutely,
if you want to fast and that's what your body needs, then do that. If you don't eat breakfast, I'm not one of those people. I do eat breakfast and juice and all those things.
Me too.
But for those, just I feel like a perfect example for setting the table of whether it's the sun, or don't eat honey because it's from bees if you're vegan, whatever it might be, is see what resonates for you. Because some, it might, like honey might not work in your body, and that's okay for whatever reason. Like, okay, great. But not to beat the honey drum. But I think with all of this stuff, it's, if someone's telling you like, you need this or you need that, or you got to take all these pills for menopause, or you have to do all these things, like there's so much that the earth gives us that is there to provide for us. And we don't need all of these synthetic things to exist and be healthy. And if anything, we need a lot less of that to be healthy in the world. And so I'm glad that message came through, because there's such simple practices we can do to get the nourishment and wealth of nutrients that we need. And it's not complicated.
I agree. That's a great message. It is. I think sometimes that we have been led to believe that it is so complicated, and there's so much that goes into diet and staying healthy. And every time these questions are asked, the messages that come through are very simple. So I love that. Yeah.
And clear. And it's look, if you're struggling with this thing, and I highly encourage people to reach out to you for healing sessions, because I've seen the information you've been able to give very specific of, okay, if you're going to take these supplements, if you're suffering from Lyme disease or something else, and like, what is Lyme disease? And we've been told a lot of wrong information about that. And so here's something you can do to get your body back to a place of stasis and balance. And then you don't need those things anymore. If you are approaching your diet and doing these things, you can bring your body back to full health. And so, working with someone like Crystal and other practitioners to get this information that's very specific for you, because sometimes there are things that are really general and broad, like the water, everyone needs it. I know you've talked about like we're all dried up prunes, like little raisins here on the sun melting or on the earth melting, and we're dried up So yes, we all need lots of water. That's for everybody. But there are certain things that each person's going to need based on their health and body. And so that's where you're a perfect example of the work you're doing in your practice to help people figure out, yeah, what do I really need without taking a quiz on Instagram and all of a sudden getting signed up for 8 different supplements that, you're going to get auto shipped and have a bazillion and never take them all and then feel terrible about yourself. So instead of doing that, reach out to Crystal, which we're going to share all her information and have a session and get your own formula for your health and all the things. And you'll be good. You'll be good to go.
I love it.
Good practical advice for 2026.
I feel like the answers are honestly, they're within all of us. And sometimes it's just a nudge to connect with your specific energies. And that is all I do. The messages come through me. I am led to, hover over a certain area, connect with a past life. Like there's so many ways that we can fall a little bit out of balance, but internally the answers all exist. It's just finding a way to unlock those messages. So I appreciate the nod. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. I'm so grateful. I feel like we might have to make this like a 2-parter, but I'm so grateful for all the time and the energy and messages that you shared. So tell everyone where they can find you. And do you have any workshops or anything coming up?
As far as workshops, they will be upcoming. You can find me on Instagram on Watermelon Wellness. I have a website I need to get up and running. I do have my domain name saved for me. I have work I need to do. But for now, You can connect with me on Instagram anytime, DM me to book. And yeah, happy to connect with people. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I will continue to expand. If you are in Alberta, Canada, I do a lot of work locally. I can do in-person sessions and do my sound baths. So we'll have things expand in the future, but what exactly that looks like, it's sort of still in the works.
We'll get that website up and going because I think a lot of people are going to be coming your way. So take some pressure off of having to book through Instagram because, I see lots of good stuff for you coming. So
thank you, Heather. I think that is needed. I appreciate that nudge.
Yeah. That was a message for you. So
exactly.
I know everyone is leaving here from potentially a 2-parter with so much practical information, but so grateful for our conversation. I love everything that was shared. I know people needed to hear it. And as we start this new year and this new cycle, you are armed with so much information and know that there's so much light and love that is out in the world. And you are a beacon of that as well. So take that with you and just try and approach this year with, I guess, a loving lens, bring in peace and ease and try to maybe slow down a little bit. As much as the horse is going to be forward momentum, it doesn't mean that we don't rest. That doesn't mean hustle. It doesn't mean run ourselves into the ground. Horses do not run 24/7.
Yes.
They might run, but then they rest and they graze and they enjoy the sun and all the things. So take that as, we can do our forward movement, but also bring some peace and ease. And that's a message for me because I need to do that too. So we'll all do this together on this journey. Yes.
I love that.
Sure.
Thank you. What a great way to wrap up everything and set ourselves up for the next year. I appreciate that messaging so much. It was honestly an honor to connect with you. And I'm just grateful that you're doing the work you are and creating space for us to be heard. And thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. All right. Until next time, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your precious day to listen to our podcast. If this episode resonated with you, we would love for you to share it with someone you love. That would mean the world to us. Also, if you feel called, please follow our show so you will know when a new episode drops. If you want to go one step further, you can even rate this episode as it allows our podcast to find its way to others. Lastly, we've done our best to share resources that you might find helpful in the show notes, whether that's a book recommendation or a website we referenced during the episode, a free resource, or more information on a guest who took their time to speak with us and share their knowledge. We would love for you to support their work too. You can find more information on our podcast website at becomingspiritual.me. We love you and can't wait for you to hear the next episode. Until then, know you have a place where you are welcome and you are loved. Welcome home.